I've been reading a lot of these things on Instagram, like little, clips or sayings. And, of course, it's who I subscribe to. And so it's all about like self-healing and self-love, and it's beautiful. And I just read this one clip about like once an addict, always an addict. And it was saying how that's just not true, and it's detrimental to healing. And I forget the whole phrase, but that's more or less what they were saying. And I thought that's really beautiful because it's true. We have these phrases or sayings in our world that we've made them true by repeating them so much and by convincing others they're true. And so others in those positions or have dealt with people like that have found it to be true, and then they repeat it, and all that repetition and regurgitation forms a belief, and then we prove those beliefs right, but it doesn't have to be that way. And those who are trying to get out of that loop and get into healing, it's like they can't be around that and hear that, because it's just going to keep them down, and it's going to have them not believe in themselves. And we have to believe in ourselves. We have to be our number one cheerleader, right? And it's not that we don't want others to be our cheerleader too, and we want to have that support in that community, yet it also is recognizing that we have to have that strength within us, right? We have to love ourselves more than we hate ourselves. We have to have that stronger version within us, and work towards it if you don't, always working towards that, understanding that, trying to heal and grow, and not listen to that rhetoric or buy into it or repeat it, because that's going to form that belief within you if you do. And then your ego will want to prove itself right, even though it's harmful to you. So it's like you have to overcome all that stuff. And so all that being said, I was like, oh, I loved that post. And then I loved that she had like a quote at the end for everybody to, it's like post, I forget what she said, but basically it was to have community, to discuss it in the comments, which I also really like. Like, I like this idea of that support and that community, and we've talked about that before, where it's like I really need to build that community for myself as well, but I'm also slightly hesitant because it's sticky and tricky in that it can quickly become like a bitchville, like a bitch community, right? Like we're whining and complaining, or we're discussing the negative more than the positive. And then it's also annoying when it's too like Pollyanna, right? Like when it's too extreme one way or the other, it's like, it becomes annoying because it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel authentic. It feels forced one way or the other. And so this has been something where I need to continually heal and change my perspective and figure that out, that puzzle piece for myself. Yeah. They're showing so much that is related to that for me, where I think essentially what they're showing is like I end up being really hard on myself, where it's like I want to reach out to others, but I'm like, oh, it's like I need them right now. So it's okay, let them be there for you. But then it's also like I don't want to be a burden or a nuisance, or the one who only reaches out when I'm in need and I'm bitching and complaining, right, and dumping my stuff onto others. And so it's really having to learn that balance. And so, yeah, they're showing this too, where it's like I have a hard time walking through that, or like even, how do I say this, like communicating or verbalizing that. It's like when you're in those low states, you don't even have the energy to say it, I guess, like nicely, or be curt, or like be tempered, or I don't know what they're showing. It's something like, it's something like the idea of like sometimes you just need to vomit it all out, and yet you don't want to vomit it out on anybody else, and yet you can't. It's like all in or all out is what it kind of feels like, and they're showing, which is kind of gross what they're showing. It is kind of like you either have to puke it all out or hold it all in, because it's like puking out just a little at a time is also, it's like painful and it hurts, and it's like unnecessary, or it's something like this. So I don't know what the message is there. Maybe it is like puke it all out and then learn not to hold it in for so long, something like this, which if that's what it is, I mean, that makes sense, right? We can all hear that message. You know, some of us hold on to it for so long. It's like, why are you doing that? It's like swallowing swords, right? But some of us find it challenging, and maybe that's what they're showing, to speak up, right? Because I know I've had that. I've discussed that with you guys, where I'll have like a freeze response, where it's like learning to speak up in that fear, speak up in that freeze moment. Like, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm having a reaction. I'm freezing. That's all I got right now. I gotta balance out before I can intake anymore, or hear anymore, or share anymore, or take anymore. Like, whatever the scenario is, it's like learning to speak up in those moments, to shake out of that nervous system response that doesn't feel good, that freeze, that fight, that flaunt, like whatever it is. It's like saying something in that time that is incredibly challenging, right? Like, if you tend to freeze, it's like you're frozen. You can't, but so it's like recognizing that and making that change, because otherwise you'll be freezing for the rest of your life, right? So it's one, having the courage to do it and face those fears and plow through it. That's what I don't like that word, plow through. It seems so forced, but sometimes we do need that jarring to shake us out of it. I don't even know why I came on. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. If you would like to support this channel, you can find more information in the notes below.